and welcome to Chair Force on Rumble. I'm your host, Chris Carter, call sign Crush. You're looking at the Vought F8 Crusader. This thing preceded the F4 Phantom, which was replaced by the F14 Tomcat, which now the roles of Naval Air Superiority Fighter have been taken over by the F-18 Tomcat, which surround us on all sides, as you will see. So, looking at the map, we are at Naval Air and Weapons Station, China Lake, California's Mojave Desert. Here we are, right here. About 102 degrees or so, which is just a little bit hotter than the weather I've been out in all day. But we are going to fly west over in Yukon. We're going to round down here, check out Mojave Air and Spaceport for landing at Edwards Air Force Auxiliary North Base, which is just north of Edwards Air Force Base. Edwards Air Force Base, which will be the site of a future show. Also, we're going to come back to China Lake in another future show and do the Star Wars Canyon flight, the Sidewinder route, training route. Really cool stuff and a really cool plane. This thing was a mean machine back in the Cold War. Real quick look at the weather. We have 100% clouds all around us, but here we are just north of Ridgecrest. Winds don't seem to be too bad. This is our general flight path here, about 100 degrees, except for in the mountains, which will be to our west. Like I said, surrounded by all kinds of aircraft that would normally be seen at China Lake. Go ahead and close the canopy. And we're going to hit the defog. Radar power on while we're getting ready. Brakes are off.
China Lake ground, Navy 201, ready to taxi, west departure. Navy 201, taxi to and hold short of runway 32. Contact tower on 120.151 ready.
That's what I thought. Like a Seahawk back there. Did an update to my scenery. I added some stuff from Military AI Works, MAIW. Gave us all this cool aircraft. It isn't just static models. I was looking for just a plain static model. And instead of just one singular model of an F-18, just a jankety old F-6.
Did you copy? Taxi, hold short runway 32. Navy 201.
Instead of just some rough, nasty looking FSX era.
China Lake Tower 2620 miles southeast. Inbound visual runway 32. Approach 26. China Lake Tower. Fly straight in. Runway 32. Altimeter 2992.
Instead of just some 16-year-old nasty looking F-18 that would look okay from a distance, which was what I was hoping for. Somebody turned me onto this MAIW website, and so now when we fly to military bases across the country, we're very likely to run into all sorts of different kinds of aircraft, which is super exciting for me. I hope you're as excited as I am. We're headed out to runway 32, going a little fast. Helipad rather, off to our left. Is that a house on the runway? It is, I'm sorry. There's not much telling what the AI that built the shapefiles that I'm using for my custom buildings.
Taxi, hold short runway 32. Navy 201.
No telling what was there. We've got a little bit of an issue with air traffic control in this base. We're going to have to take off before we can talk to the tower. Not much can be done with it. I don't know if it's just this aircraft. We're going to unfold our wings.
China Lake Tower 2510 miles southeast. Inbound visual runway 32. Approach
Its nose is up.
Fly straight in, runway 3.
Gears up.
25. Navy Jet 01, you are now cleared to take off.
Now,
Navy Jet
need to hear them.
01, you are now cleared to take off.
change the channel. We don't need to hear that all the time. About 9,000 feet. Kick our radar on. Going west-northwest. We're gonna get up to a respectful height. Turn south. Going about 0.85 Mach. This thing could move. It was the last dogfighter, the Crusader. They called it that because this was the last naval fighter that used machine guns or cannons as a primary weapon in combat. You know, all throughout World War II, that's what you used. But when this fighter came out, little chop over the mountains, some rough air. Whenever this fighter came out, missiles were kind of the new thing. Big, exciting new technology that, if you think about it, it does make sense a little bit. Turn our radar altimeter on. It does make sense a little bit to be thinking that missiles are the wave of the future and the way to go because they're so lightweight. Put a few of them on and you don't need some jankety old lumbering 20mm cannon or whatever they were using in their aircraft at the time, that or multiple ones even. I think this one might have had two. But you don't need these big gigantic hunks of metal inside your aircraft whenever you can use that weight for fuel. You know, fuel is very important and critical for a pilot. It can mean the difference between life and death. But we learned in the Vietnam War that guns are still pretty important. I believe later models of the F4 would have guns on them, but talking about Tomcats earlier in the show, that's kind of where Top Gun came from. And you may recognize the brief intro to the show. But the Naval Fighter Weapons School came from the quote, lost art of combat. Aerial combat, I think, is what Top Gun said. Navy realized it needed to have a school to kind of refresh the art of the dogfight for our naval aviators. Cruising about Mach 0.7, as you can see to the gauge just above our altimeter. We're at about 11,000 feet. They made a, Vought made a Super Crusader as the platform got a little age on it, and it was replaced by the F4 Phantom. It was a pretty mean machine. It could go fast, it was lightweight, but it wasn't as versatile as the F4 Super Crusader, which you look at the nose, it's kind of got a little, just a little nose right here. The Super Crusader came out much further, and this big man-eating intake right here, the lower edge kind of came out a little bit more on the very bottom. It also had two big fins that stuck out. I believe they kind of parallel with the ground whenever it was taking off and landing, but whenever you took off, you had big triangular, that'd be whatever kind of fins you would call that. Lovely shot of the mountains. It was a very pretty model for a freeware. Check this out. Nice in-flight refueling probe that pops out. So in case what you wondered that bump was. On the roundel, left-hand side. There you have it. Looks like we have a solar farm. There's a whole lot of alternative energy out here in the windy desert. Probably fly over a wind farm or two. In fact, that's probably Mojave right there. So there should be a big wind farm right off our nose. Mojave Air and Spaceport. Simulator's thinking pretty hard about something. Doing about 550 knots, we're gonna throttle down.
Approach, Niner 1 with you, 4,400. Niner 1, Joshua approach, roger, altimeter 2, Niner 5. Joshua approach, Navy 6 is out of 13,400 for 8,000. Navy 6, Joshua approach, roger, altimeter 2, Niner 3.
Kind of got to wonder what a lot of these dusty gravel roads or whatever these are all over the desert. Where was that supposed to be, in a neighborhood?
Turn left heading 315. Turn left heading
Just telling they're everywhere.
Niner 1. Navy 6. Turn left heading 165. Turn left heading 165. Navy 6. Niner 1. You are 20 miles east. Turn left heading 255. Descend and maintain 4,100. Cleared ILS. Runway 22. Left approach. Maintain 4,100 until established on a localizer. Contact Edwards Tower on 120.7. Turn left heading 255, descend and maintain 4,100. Cleared ILS, runway 22, left approach. Maintain 4,100 until established. Tower on 120.7, Niner 1.
Looks like we got a big racetrack or something down here. We got different auto manufacturers have proving grounds
You are 2 miles northeast, turn right heading 225.
all over this area, and I believe that's a Kia
Runway 25, approach, maintain 4,500.
proving ground.
Established on the localizer. Contact Palmdale Tower on 123.7. Turn right heading 225.
Set our G meter here.
4,500. Cleared ILS, runway 25.
It's definitely what it is.
Maintain 4,500 until established. Tower on 123.7. Navy 6.
Little road track, that's pretty neat. We're just outside restricted airspace that surrounds Edwards Air Force Base, and really, I'd estimate about 2/3 of California is restricted airspace, which for California pretty much everything's restricted except for tyranny, but we won't get overly political on this show. It's a lot of racetrack. Head northeast, or southeast rather, as we close in on Edwards Auxiliary Northfield.
Edwards Tower, Navy 2017 miles northwest to land. Navy 201, Edwards Tower, enters right, downwind, runway 24. Altimeter 2994. Wide right traffic, runway 24, Navy 201.
So we're going to overfly the airport. Main Edwards Air Force Base is off our nose just now. We're looking for a little.
Tower, Niner 1 is 9 miles northeast, inbound ILS, runway 22, left approach. Niner 1, Edwards Tower, fly straight in, runway 22, left, altimeter 2992.
Looking for the little guy right here.
22, left, Niner 1.
Just a little bit short of 300 knots.
Navy 201, cleared to land, runway 24. Cleared to land, runway 24, Navy 201. Niner 1, cleared to land, runway 22, left. Cleared to land, runway 22, left, Niner 1.
Just for a little bit of perspective, We're about 5,000 feet off the ground.
Orange Tower, Niner 1 is going missed. Niner 1, contact Joshua approach on 133.65. Going to 133.65, Niner 1.
So that's some incredibly long runways and wide. Probably a lot of test pilots have flown their last flight in this region too. Some dangerous stuff. I know our traffic pattern wasn't accurate, but Edwards was so close, and it was hard not to take a look. Gears down and locked on our base leg, and we're actually making left-hand turns instead of right. But I don't think the digital controllers are going to have too much to say. Variable instance wing. 200 knots. A little bit high, you can tell by the white lights. Now they're starting to turn red. You want half of them red and half of them white to tell you're on the glide scope. My angle attack indicator just to the left of the gun sight is telling me I'm a little low. With that green O in the middle. We're way low. But we'll manage. A little right. I don't probably better kill this radar. Any landing you can walk away from is a good landing. We've killed the radar. Let's turn this Cold War machine around. Main base area with that large red hangar. Interesting little tidbit. This airplane can and actually has taken off with the wings folded. Pretty much every naval aircraft I can think of, other than maybe the A4 Skyhawk, has foldable wings. so you can fit nice and neat in the carrier. Nifty little fire station. That is a P-19 fire truck. I've spent much time in those. They're actually air transportable. You can pop them on a C-130. It's a very minimal modification. We hope you enjoy this short flight in the F-8 Crusader. It was a mean machine back in its time. Thanks for watching on rumble.com. If you haven't already, and you would like to be notified next time we have a new video, click on that subscribe button. Got a lot of cool stuff coming as soon as we can get time. A lot of content I'm looking for. Hopefully you are too. Park and brake set. We're done here. Take care. Thanks for flying with me.